Hi, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, so I will present right now, right? So sorry. Okay. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Nguyen and I come from KU Leuven. Thank you so much for being here today. So today I will talk about policing femininity in competitive gaming, a feminist ethical critic of gender inequality in professional esport. So I focus specifically on the professional PC-based esports scene, titled like League of Legends, Overwatch, Dota 2, and StarCraft 2, because they are the most visible, structured, and financially dominant space in global esport. I think they are where the ideas of competition, merit, and excellence are defined. So, to begin, let's examine the background and explore why this topic is matters. So, for me, I think esport has transformed competitive performance in the world. Unlike traditional sport, it appears to offer a digital playing field, no biological or physical limitation. But in theory, anyone with skill, time, or internet can compete. But in practice, this equality doesn't hold. Women still remain vastly underrepresented and face discrimination and harassment so many times. So um, I think this paradox challenges the esport industry's self-image at a fair and open meritocracy. If physical barriers are gone, why do moral and cultural barriers persist? So my research explores this paradox through the lens of feminist ethic and hegemonic masculinity, asking not only how inclusions happen, but also what it reveals about the moral character of esports as a community. So now that we understand the context and the key paradox, let's explore how I frame this question theoretically and ethically. So basically, my central question is, why does professional BC based esport continue to exhibit gender inequality despite digital openness? I challenge the standard explanation that women exclusion results from a lack of skill or interest. Instead, I argue that professional esport remains shaped by hegemonic masculinity, a cultural structure that reward aggression and dominance, while penalizing empathy, care, collaboration coded as feminine. I think this is not just a social and institutional problem. It's an ethical issue, a question of values. So, beside the big question, I have like one more. The first one is, what kind of community are we building through e-sport? And the second um, one that reflects inclusivity or fairness, or one that reproduces hierarchy of gender and power. So now let's examine the theoretical foundation and my approach to this study. So basically, the term hegemonic masculinity is used here to refer to the behavior pattern that enable the ongoing superiority of men over women to persist. And this concept, based on Cornell and Messerschmitt in 2005, and they describe it as a dominant idea of manhood legitimized through institution, culture, media that sustain male privilege without necessarily using violence. And I think these traits are especially noticeable in very masculine environments, such as esport, which is structured by and tailored for men, according to many researchers. And therefore, I think it's a rich field for exploring women's experiences. Therefore, the current study uses Cornell's concept of hegemonic masculinity to analyze how structural power and gender norms shape the underrepresentation of professional female esports players. And to investigate this, I use qualitative discourse analysis focusing on three well-documented cases from BC-based professional scene. So the first one you can see here is the Sasha Scarlett Hostin. She is a StarCraft 2 player and will illustrate income and visibility inequality. The second one I want to mention the case of Seyeon Gregory Kim. She is an Overwatch player, and this will show the gender stereotyping and policing of competence. And the last one I want to talk about Maria Remilia Creveling. She League of Legends players exposing harassment, transphobia, and moral cost of exclusion. And after conducting this research, I come with some key findings. So the first one I want to talk about is the representation and the pay gap. So the esport professional industry is still significantly divided by gender. And many research suggest that men dominate the professional esport arena with 95% of representation, leaving women to account for only 5%. And I think the underrepresentation of women in the most well-known and widely marketed competition had a direct impact on their career opportunity and the prospects available to women and girls within this industry. And for example, in the main event of both the League of Legends Championship and the International, women have been absent since 2011, the first year of both tournaments. So I think because of this structure, men are the dominant group in the top game championship, and despite of the growing prominence of female players, women are still excluded from the elite level of play, which reflect larger structural and cultural restriction in the esports sector. And the second thing I want to talk about is the inequality in pay. And you can look at the screen right now. And according to the website Esport Earning, the concrete evidence was found regarding to the esport income. The highest female player, Sasa Hostin, is ranked at 623 with the StarCraft 2, and Hostin earned nearly $500,000 in her career since 2011. But compared to the highest earning in the esports industry, Johan Notel, he has gathered over $7 million in winning through his career. So I think this means that the highest woman earnings in esport are significantly less than the millions earned by the men above her. And I think this disparity in earning between male and female esport player in professional esport is substantial, underscoring the persistent structure inequalities and raising concern about fairness and equal opportunity within the professional gaming industry. And you can see here, I think this is not just an economic issue, It shows whose excellence is recognized and rewarded. And to understand these continuous disparities, it is essential to examine several factors contributing to the substantial gender disparity in professional esport participation and income. So the first factor I want to talk about is the structural bias and visibility. I think the structural classification of esport platform, especially the dominance of PC-based professional competition, had acted as a institutional obstacle to women's full participation in professional sport gaming. Indeed, while women have increasingly participated in esport in recent years, most have focused on playing esport games on mobile platforms. Approximately 49% until 50% of mobile gamers in the world are estimated to be women. And according to the new research in 2024, and therefore, women's higher presence in mobile gaming had little bearings on professional visibility and career options because the professional competition prefer PC-based gaming like the League of Legends World Championship or the international. So I think this trend is unsurprisingly because professional esport had long been recognized as a male dominated. So I think this shows how women's excellence exists, just not where the institutions choose to look. And the second factor, I think, is the myth of skill difference. Another common reason for the lack of women in professional esport is the perception that they are not as skilled as their male counterpart. This perception aligns with the dominant masculine idea that value traits like aggression, competitiveness, and dominance, culturally associated with masculinity. Skill and performance critical factor in assessing the quality of esport event have historically been linked to gender, with men being viewed as naturally superior uh, over the women in competitive setting. However, according to Ruvan Kaba in 2018 and Sant in 2016, they tried to do the research and they conclude that they know gender-based performance differences if a woman also receive like the same time of training the care from the institution. So I think it's more like a cultural contract rather than an object truth, and the assumption that men are naturally better players is not empirical, it's a cultural methodology. And this myth functions as a moral justification. Inclusion appears rational when in fact it's deeply biased. And beyond this, let's examine how structure build some problem. Okay, and the third one is the harassment and gender policing. I think this one is quite familiar in esport industry because culture also play a crucial role. Harassment, sexualization, and constant questioning of legitimacy act as a form of gender policing. So we can take Gregory Sejong, an Overwatch player, as an example because she was accused of cheating for being too good for a girl, and she had to live stream to prove her legitimacy. And also another case is the Maria Remilia Crivelling, the transgender woman to participate in League of Legends Champion Series. her careers were erupted, and after attacker from live stream comment about her appearance, about the gender identity. And I think harassment in esports turned into a form of gender policing. Women are frequently subjected to mockery or hypersexualization when they oppose male authority, establish their ability, or occupy space. And therefore, harassment is a deeper attempt to reclaim masculine authority over the cultural norm rather than just personal sentiment. And because it marginalized women, not because of their ability or merit, but rather than they refuse to display femininity in a way that conforms to hegemonic norm. And to do that, I will analyze some mechanism of exclusion. So the first one, I think the direct mechanism is the harassment, stereotyping, and gatekeeping, because they acts that punish women for entering the male coded space. And the second thing is the indirect mechanism. I think it include the lack of institutional support, the limited sponsorship, and the platform bias favoring male-dominated PC title. So together, this mechanism create a moral hierarchy, one that value control and aggression, and devalue empathy, humility, and care. So what can we done to change this? I think I propose some recommendation. So the first thing I want to talk about is the anti-harassment policy. I think like the esport professional gaming or competition should create the transparent reporting mechanism. So it will help the player feel safe when they play, and also they can collaborate with the third party organization for integrity audits and harassment investigation. And the second thing I want to talk about is the institutional support and the equal funding, resources, and pride pool. And next one, I think we should partnership with advocacy organization, visible representation of women in media coverage, and also we need to build a safe space and dedicated tournament. And for more transformation goal, I think we should redefining community value, and we should do something to promote inclusive leadership and mentorship, develop ethical code and tournament. And last thing, we need to encourage community dialogue about respect and representation. About respect and representation. About respect and representation. Okay, this is a conclusion. Professional BC-based esport still reflect hegemonic masculinity, a system where gender inequality is reproduced to both visible and invisible norm. Thank you so much for listening to me. I'm so sorry I can't hear you. I can't hear you right now.
We're going to go straight to a little bit of a break to sort this out. Thank you, Thea. Thank you very much for your talk. I hope you can hear me through Twitch. It was a very good talk. it was something that we can obviously go into a lot of detail about. Feel free to look through Twitch channel in terms of the questions, etc. I hope that they are helpful for your research. Really inspiring area of research and discussion. I'm going to now pass it over to a quick intermission, and then we've got Clement ready.